Hi there. Thank you for being here. My name is Suze, and I work with women to help them heal and integrate their inner masculine and feminine energies so that they can have lives that feel really emotionally fulfilling and satisfying. Giving and receiving, right? Giving and receiving, that is really at the core all about masculine and feminine, right? Masculine energy is the giver, giving, giving, giving. Feminine energy is all about the receiving, 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 receiving. And, my message here on the channel and in working with women and with my clients is recognizing that wholeness comes when I realize I have both masculine and feminine energies inside of me, and learning how to collaborate, integrate them together creates the magical life that my heart is craving, gives me this magnificent life. It also creates the alignment with my soul, alignment with the bigger self, the higher self, the divine self, and moves out of the ego and the little self, right? So it's all about recognizing both. So giving and receiving is both masculine and feminine energies. And so we have to find the balance within ourselves of giving and receiving. And along the energetic journey, if you've been on this journey for any length of time, you will recognize that it's kind of funny. And I got this concept of the pendulum. The pendulum comes from one of my favorite books. Michael Singer is one of my favorite authors. He wrote a couple of books, one of which is called The Untethered Soul. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. And in that, he talks about how the human aspect of ourselves, how we tend to swing this pendulum, right? Because we try to avoid the human ego self, the mind, the survival self wants to avoid pain and suffering, right? So we swing this pendulum. So if we have a, negative, painful experience, oftentimes we will swing the pendulum to an extreme in the other direction to try to get away from repeating that painful event in our past that happened to us, right? And so I've really seen how this comes into play really beautifully along the energetic growth journey, along the spiritual journey, the ascension path. How I've noticed how as I see something that maybe a lower self of myself embodied or acted out from, I then shift and I go, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't like that. That's definitely aligned with my ego, not aligned with my soul. And I'll shift my attention over to this other thing over here. But then there's a tendency to go too far. And so then we have to turn back, bring in aspects from this other former version of ourselves that actually are serving us. We can't just completely abandon this former version of self or former identities or values or the ways we looked at things. There's actually still good that can be extracted from that former self, brought into what we've discovered new over here. And that brings us more in balance in the middle between the two extremes, between the ego and the soul self, integrating both in the middle. I really see this so powerfully. And so as you go along this path, you have to be very honest and aware and transparent within yourself of where you are when you're extracting back from a former version of you. You're bringing maybe bits and pieces of that identity into this new identity to create something more balanced and in the middle. And what I mean by that in the aspect of giving and receiving is we got to start getting really honest with ourselves when we're in the space of giving. Why am I giving? Is it to receive something back? And that's how it often begins. At the beginning of this giving and receiving kind of tug of war between the two energetically, that's kind of where it often starts for us, where we create this awareness and we get away from this lower little self. We create this awareness of oh my word, I am literally only doing this thing or giving to this person or giving to this dynamic situation because I'm hoping that I will get something else out of it. And that is at its core manipulation. And manipulation is clearly not a soulful word. that I have any kind of really positive association with. It's a very negative connotation kind of word in my world, and I think in most people's world. So if we're understanding that, wait a second, I'm only giving or doing or serving in this particular thing, whatever this dynamic or connection or person or work or whatever it is, to get something in return that's not actually authentic, and it's actually very manipulative, and it's actually looking for some validation and reassurance of worth of self, really. If you're only giving, if you're, again, and this may not always be conscious, this is at some point in time, we develop this awareness and this consciousness around, oh my word, I didn't realize I was doing this, so I'm not shaming myself, but I'm realizing I'm actually giving because I want something back in return, or I'm hoping for a particular outcome. This is not actually giving unconditional love. This is not giving from a pure space in my heart. And it actually ends up depleting me if I'm not getting back what I'm looking for, right? So then we shift from that awareness into this, we kind of swing the pendulum. And again, there's nothing wrong, because we have to have this contrast to find what the right balance is for you. Your balance between the two is your unique balance between the two, considering your life journey, your life experience, how life has shaped your perception of yourself and the world, and your particular needs, okay? So it's very unique person to person. But we go from the awareness, we shift over to the extreme then of, hey, on a second, I'm going to stop giving. I'm going to stop giving, and I'm going to allow myself to take. And there is nothing wrong with that. And it's absolutely needed, in my opinion, to, again, be able to then come back and find your balance. But until we've experienced both ends of the spectrum, you don't know what your balance is. And until you've given yourself permission to take, you're going to be stuck in that overgiving energy. Overgiving, manipulative energy, people-pleasing energy, giving to get kind of energy, which is clearly not where we want to be if you're on this soulful ascension path. So you have to allow yourself to stop giving and allowing yourself to receive, which is very feminine, by the way. And so many of us are challenged with allowing ourselves to be feminine in a world that still shames a lot of feminine energy, feminine aspects, feminine taking, feminine needs, feminine emotionality, feminine unpredictability. But in the feminine, that's where expansion is as well. So allowing yourself to take and allowing yourself to sit back and see the people in my life, the situations in my life, the circumstances and dynamics in my life. Am I the only one giving? Or are there others who are giving to me as well? And that's really important and necessary in this other extreme of simply just allowing yourself to take and receive. This is surrender at its core as well. When you're in a state of receiving, you're in a state of surrender. You're in a state of not doing to prove your worth, not doing to earn someone's love, not giving to feel like you're worthy of receiving. So allowing yourself to simply be in a state of receiving and not any giving is not selfish and not bad at all. It's actually a huge part of this whole energetic journey of being healthily blended of both masculine and feminine at any given point in time. And for a lot of women, myself included, this is actually very challenging and really difficult to see yourself in this way of all the times in your life in your past where you were giving or doing something for someone or serving someone else because you thought you had to do that to get something back. You thought you had to earn their love, or you thought you had to prove yourself worthy of love and receiving from someone else. It's a lot of work to be in that space of simply receiving. And it's very eye-opening, and it's also very scary. It can be kind of scary because when you're not the one doing all the things for people, and you're not the one who's always giving to people in situations, some people will leave and some people won't come looking for you. I did a live on Facebook many years ago. Before I was here on YouTube, many years ago, I used to do a lot of lives on Facebook. I did Tuesday lives, and I did a video about that in particular of look who comes looking for you when you disappear. When you pull away energetically from people, situations, and dynamics in your life, look who comes looking for you. Look who misses you. And pay attention to who doesn't. That will really show you who's coming with you and who's meant to stay behind. And when people do come looking for you, are they concerned about you? I'm noticing you've been missing, are you okay? Or are they coming looking for you because they need something from you? Are they genuinely concerned about you and missing your energy and your presence because they value your energy and your presence in your heart space? Or are they coming to look for you because they want something from you? So it can be really hard to be in this space because you will recognize you're going to lose friendships. Lose, I use that term very, very broadly because you're not losing anything. It just, the mind may think you're losing, but actually you're only getting clear on who's aligned with you, who's moving forward with you, and who's not. So back to the idea of giving and receiving. Once we've gone from one end of the spectrum of over-giving, giving to get, giving to earn, giving to feel worthy of receiving, and then you go into the space of simply only receiving. Now, clearly we can't be in either one for a whole extended period of time. So the perfect balance in the middle is the goal then to move from this simply state of just receiving back into some giving is to recognize you need to fill your own heart. And what are the voids? What are the holes? What are the needs in your heart that you've been looking for people or places or things or situations outside of yourself? You've been thinking those things outside of yourself are going to fill your heart. We're going to satisfy your heart. Instead of you emotionally, energetically, internally filling your own heart and soul. And that takes a lot of painful work because that's going back into your childhood, going back into earlier life situations where you thought you needed, and you did as a child, you did need your parents, your mother, your caregivers to emotionally give you and fill your heart space, but they weren't able to. And that's no shame on them. Everyone is doing the best that they can with the resources and with the awareness and with the knowledge that they have. But whoever your caregivers were back then were not able to fully fill your heart, fill your cup with the emotional needs and satisfaction and fulfillment that you needed. And so now as an adult, you have to take on that responsibility for yourself. Fulfilling your own heart, filling the holes, the voids in your heart that were left by your mother, your father, the mother wound, the father wound, the ancestral wound. Oftentimes this is the mother wound, very deeply the mother wound. And then when you do that, you are then able to give from a pure space, and you're actually able to give real, true love. And it's not about attachment, it's about love, actual uppercase L, divine love, epic love, unconditional love, not the little L love. Little L love is attachment. It's not actually even really love. and you're able to give. And it's not about an external validation. It's not about receiving something in return. It's about, I am so overflowing with love in my own heart. I have done the work to fill myself, fulfill my own emotional needs, to love myself, to be overflowing in my heart space that I give from there. It reminds me of something I mentioned a couple weeks ago in my YouTube videos about, it's this quote that I found, and I'm not gonna be able to say it perfectly, but it was basically saying, daughter, do not seek love, for you are love. Ocean need not seek water. I love that. Ocean need not seek water, just like you do not need to seek love. You are love. Are you doing the work to understand and feel it, that I am love? And when I give, I am giving from that because I know how to fulfill my own heart, my own love, and I give freely, unconditionally from there because I do not need any external validation. This video tiptoes on a video I did a few days ago called Blink and You'll Miss It. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend going back and watching that one as well. Blink and you'll miss it. If you found value in this video, please do subscribe to my channel to help support me and get my message out to others who would appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what impacted you the most about this video. Thank you so much for being here. Sending so much love and healing and comfort to you all. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.